Namaste and welcome to Andrew Sloman, and he was the
Namaste.
Namaste actor in Sandeep Mohan's film, which we saw on the opening night of Indica Pictures Film Festival, Danny Goes Aum. And if I may start with, was it autobiographical or biographical? The film, because a lot of it when I saw, the first scene where which struck me was when you ask about Nora Jones. I thought it was just a random thing about music, but when I read about you, I learned that you're also a musician. So are there
No. That was just very random in the script that Sandeep had written. There's not really anything that's biographical or um, autobiographical. There's one or two similarities that have run parallel with my own life. Just very small things which Sandeep might have mirrored up just to bring out the actor naturally in somebody. But no, it's very much a story of Sandeep's. Some things, maybe a little bit autobiographical for Sandeep, but not in regards to myself.
So how did you get to films? And I read about your musical career, and you, I think, also modeling. But how did films happen?
Yeah, so for the last 12 years, I've been living mostly in Japan. I've been coming to India pretty much every year, though. And I have been doing some acting in Japan. That's really where I very first started doing it. Up until then, I'd only really been doing music in my life. And I would say at about 2014, I first started doing some TV commercials in Japan. But a similar kind of time, I was in 2015, the following year, I started doing music on film here in India. I was introduced to Sandeep through a good friend of mine, Bulaknath, who I had met in Goa, who was also a mutual friend of Sandeep. Sandeep was looking for some songs for his film. And Shula put me in touch with Sandeep, and I shared a lot of my music with Sandeep. And I think he chose in the end, it was about 7 songs, 6 in the film and 1 in the trailer. He chose 7 of my songs to be part of the movie Sri Lanka. And that was really my first step into anything in the film and TV industry here in India. And then again, Sandeep asked me for some songs for his next film, Namilanand Ki Papi. And somebody else who I knew also asked me for some songs for their film. And there was a film called The Pickup Artist. And about 10 of my songs featured in that film. And really the stepping stone from there, doing the music in film to appearing in the film, was Sandeep got in touch with me about coming to New York. He had a script in mind. He was going to film in New York, and he was looking for someone to play a busker on the streets in New York, and he thought that I would be perfect for that part. This character was going to be friends with the protagonist of the film, and that looked as if it was going to be going ahead. I wrote some songs for Sandeep for the film, and then COVID happened, and New York was one of the places which got shut down first, so it all had to be called off. And me and Sandeep carried on speaking, and I suggested to Sandeep, oh, maybe you could come to Japan, where I was in Tokyo, and we could try and make something there. And then the problems happened. COVID just started spreading around the world, and Tokyo got shut down too. They weren't letting anybody into the country. And then Sandeep got in touch with me a few weeks later and said, hey, look, Andrew, I've seen some of your modeling and TV commercials and some of the small bits of acting that you'd been doing in Japan. How about if I wrote a script for you, would you come to Goa? And I would love you to be, the lead in the film. So I was, wow, well, what a great opportunity. And jumped at the chance to work with Sandeep, particularly in the lead role. It was just absolutely fabulous. So we started shooting Danny Goes Aum after the kind of real first wave of COVID, when it started to calm down a bit and everyone kind of thought it was going away. I managed to come out here on a business visa and work with Sandeep on the film.
As somebody who's traveled to a lot of places, Andrew, do you think that, I mean, in the film, one does not, actually think consciously, oh, this is an Indian, this is not an Indian. It's just the emotion just takes over the experience. So this, as in filmmaking, in music, where do these boundaries and barriers, where do they, when do they actually disappear? Like in Indian music, there are a lot of collaborations with non-Indians. Now they are also winning Grammys. We don't actually consciously think, oh, this is an Indian song or this is an Indian instrument. We just, just the music washes over. So when do these boundaries disappear?
I'm not 100% sure I quite grasp your question. You're asking when the boundaries disappear between the cultures?
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
I mean, I've been coming here to India since 2011, to Goa, and Goa really more than anywhere that I've traveled in India is a real melting pot, especially for musicians. I've jammed up with musicians from all over the world and all over India, and it's really an incredible place for that. And for fusions of all different styles of music, from Indian classical. I've jammed up with tabla players and sitar players and harmonium players and Sufi singers. It's just a wonderful place. But it's not like I've ever brought um, music to the table trying to be Indian or anything like that. I've very much come with my own British folk kind of style, and they've come with their very much Indian style. And yeah, it's a wonderful place for fusions to take place, particularly in Goa, I've found. So.
Is there, I mean, how do you imbibe features of the culture when like in the movie itself there are things like which we would notice about either the dress or the food, which would be very natural to us. How does somebody who's acting in an Indian film, how do you need to do some have to come before here, live here for a while to know what's part of this culture?
I don't think so. I mean, particularly in this film, Danny Goes Aum. I mean, the character, it's not like he has a great knowledge of India. So I didn't feel like I needed to research India in any way to play this particular character. But I'm lucky enough that I've been coming here for 14 years now, and fell in love with the place immediately. And so I'm lucky enough that I have a relative insight into the Indian culture, and so for me personally, I adore it.
So, like just in music, where either you can be trained or you can be self-taught. I think even in
Yeah.
films, people either go through theater, drama school, and they become trained actors, or some of them just instinctively take to acting. So, do
Mm.
you see a difference between somebody who's been trained and somebody who's just self-taught?
I think there's certain skills, of course. I mean, both people that come from the very trained side of music or the very trained side of theatre. Um, for me personally, I'm mostly self-taught when it comes to music, completely self-taught on guitar. I did have some piano lessons when I was very young, between the age of about 9 and 12. Um, but other than that, I'm very self-taught, and acting completely self-taught. I, as someone who is completely self-taught, I don't feel like I can speak for people that are trained, particularly people that have studied theatre and things like that. For me, it's like the whole world that I know absolutely nothing about. I mean, all I can talk about is from my own experience, which is uh, trying to connect with the character and putting my heart and my soul into it, and just try to be as natural as possible, and maybe not overact. Uh, that's kind of my take on it. As
You
someone
are
who's
actually
completely self.
so brilliant in the film. It's
Oh, thank you.
you just carry the film on your shoulders totally. And
Oh, thank you so much.
yeah, it's like it's so natural. It's somebody we could relate to their struggles, they're wanting to find their roots, wanting
Mm,
to find connection with our own lineage or our parents, trying to go back in time. It's
mm.
anybody's journeys. You say that it's Sandeep's film, but I think you carry it to perfection.
Oh, that's so very kind of you to say. Especially, I mean, I got to work with some incredible actresses in the film. Anjali Patel obviously is a highly experienced Indian actress, and Marianne Bourgault also is a very experienced French actress. And Divya also, she's done several things here in India, and I was really coming to the table with very little experience, so I was very nervous. There's no other way to say it. When I got the script from Sandeep, I think he gave it to me 2 to 3 weeks before I traveled here to start the film. So it was about a month before we started filming that I first saw the script. And Danny is the main character, probably in 80 to 90% of the scenes. So when I saw this, I was like, wow, I need to learn this. The last time I learned any script, I think I was 10 years old for The Wizard of Oz. And that's the only script I've ever learned in my life. So that was the biggest challenge. I felt that if I could come each day knowing it, so I at least wasn't showing of trying to remember lines, then I felt I could do a good job. So it was really just making sure that I knew that script inside out. So very kindly, I was on the FaceTime with my stepmom every night. My stepmom Alison, just going running lines for maybe 2 hours every night after we did our final scene. I'd just go back to my room and practice lines for the next day. So yeah, but thank you so much that you appreciated the
Uh,
performance.
no,
'Cause,
actually,
yeah, it was. Sorry, please.
yeah, I've been interviewing a lot of filmmakers for Indica Pictures. They are all, they're not big, mega filmmakers. They're all non-mainstream, non-commercial filmmakers. And I think many of their films, who, they work with actors who don't charge them an arm and a leg. But
Mm,
the story comes through much more realistically than these big budget films, which is not based on anything we can relate to, some
mm,
fancy story work and a lot of action, and which is thrilling but nothing to do with our real lives.
right,
So
right.
yeah, I think the film, captures a very human sentiment, and I think filmmakers are now trying to stick to, plots and to themes where, expense, first of all, expense shouldn't be too high. So
Yeah.
the locale is, not a lot of traveling. It's
Mm.
shot in one place with
I mean,
fewer.
it's very much Sandeep's style, that real human touch, uh, trying to keep things as natural as possible in it, all being about the script, and the story. He's a marvelous storyteller, and so I think I was very blessed in the fact that he gave me something that wasn't too challenging for me on a personal level. Um, I wasn't playing someone completely outside of my natural comfort zone. And he wrote a brilliant script. So yeah, hats off to Sandeep for making me look good.
It's
Yeah.
usually it's like a cameo role. Either Indians in Hollywood or non-Indian films play a very short, role. where it's almost a mockery of Indianness. And even if non-Indians play roles in Indian films, again, it's, trying to some kind of a cliched role. So this was so refreshing because it doesn't, it's not just a lip service to any character. It goes deep into Danny and so how much do you relate to Danny? And
There's elements to Danny that I relate to. I mean, he's an English guy that's come to Goa on a bit of a personal journey, which for me, is some. I have walked in those shoes. I came here to Goa when I was 32 on very much a personal journey of discovery. So there's elements to Danny that I can relate to, of course. But at the same time, he comes from a different background to me, different style of work, that and the others. So, yeah.
So, are you going to work in many more Indian films you're shooting now?
Yeah, I've been very blessed actually. So I really made the decision after filming Danny Goes Aum, how much I enjoyed it, that I wanted to pursue acting equally as much as music, if not more, certainly for a period of time, see how it goes. So I was stopping by India. This was October 18 months ago. So Danny Goes On had just been sort of finished. The post-production had just been finished. And I stopped by and we met up with Sandeep and a few of the other people. And very kindly, one of the other actors, Avinash, who plays Shiva in the film. Avinash is a casting agent, and he put me in touch with an agency here. And I signed contracts with an agency here and have been looking for more work this past 12 months. I came back out to India last January and it's gone well. Yeah, I did one Amazon TV series called Slum Golf, which is out. Everyone can watch that. It's had some marvelous reviews on IMDb. So very, very happy with how that went. I worked with a fabulous team. There was a few star cast in there. There's Sharad Kelkar, who I play opposite. It's basically a story about some slum kids that learn to play golf, invent their own version of golf in the slums, and then eventually make it out onto the golf course. And Sharad Kelkar, he's playing the Indian golf coach, and I play an Australian golf coach, which gets brought in to train one of the other Indian boys. So that was a fabulous project to be involved in. I loved every minute of that, and I had a small part in a film with RJ Devgan, which we shot last year, which is in post-production at the moment, which should be coming out soon. And then I did another TV series end of last year, which was a wonderful part. I'm not allowed to talk too much about it. It's a historical drama. And I got to play one of the primary characters in that. It's a 6-part drama that will be coming out August, I think, September, something like that. But yeah, I'm very much lip sealed on that one. Unfortunately, I can't tell you anything about that, but it will be excellent, I'm sure. And now I am shooting a movie. Yeah, no, I'm not allowed to talk too much about these things. So what can I tell you about this one? It's an action comedy based here in Goa. So yeah, it's an incredible project to be involved in. I don't know what I can tell you though, what would get me into trouble and what won't. So I think for now, especially while we're making it, my lips are sealed. So yeah, but
so,
it's all gone well.
Have you acted in any multilingual film where it's not just English?
Yes, so all the projects that I've done since, Danny Goes Aum is the only one in English. Slum Golf is 90% Hindi, 10% English. The other drama that I shot end of last year, the period drama, again, that's mostly in Hindi. And again, this movie that I'm shooting at the moment, it's only the first 25% of the film that's in English. The rest is in Hindi. So yeah, they're all kind of mixed language films.
So what about Indian music? And do you listen to a lot of Indian music, and what kind of music do you like?
Yeah, I listen to some. I wouldn't say I listen to a lot of Indian music, but I love listening to Indian classical music. I love Ravi Shankar, of course, and I love the music of both his daughters. The sitar music is amazing, and then obviously like Nora Jones, she doesn't do Indian classical music, but I love her music as well. Um, and I enjoy listening to some spiritual music as well. But I wouldn't say I listen to a lot of Indian music. I like collaborating with people. Um, I really love Sufi music. There's a musician that I've sung with called Mukhtar Ali. Mukhtar's music is just absolutely mind blowing, and that Sufi singing is just incredible. I love it. Um, but yeah, I listen to a wide array of genres when it comes to Indian classical and Indian modern music. But I would say I prefer the classical side to it. It's what I find the most moving.
What about Indian films? And what kind of films do you watch? And can you relate to anything that they portray, or what are the kind of films you like to watch? Indian films.
Yeah, I love the action films. Um, I really enjoyed RRR. I thought that was an absolutely fabulous movie. And a few of the classical films, the old classics I used to enjoy. But I love the independent cinema as well. We saw some fabulous things when we went to Berlin at the Indian German Film Week. But in general, I would say most of the movies I watch are Hollywood based or UK based films.
Yeah, if you ask us, like, what are the books that we like to read? Strangely enough,
Mm.
we'll talk about all the English classical authors. Like we'll say Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy. We all of us love English literature. So I think it's
Oh yeah,
it's yeah, Jane Austen. All those are like our favorites for
yeah,
many, many, many of us. I mean, like my daughter's now watching Good Omens, and we like some of the shows that are produced in the West. So I
yeah,
think that's
yeah,
a lovely thing that you know we can enjoy another culture, like Korean movies. A lot of kids here love Korean movies, even though they may not follow the language entirely.
yeah, yeah. Korean films are very, very popular at the moment, aren't they?
So thank you so much, Andrew, for making time, and it was lovely chatting with you. And
Oh no, it's a pleasure
and
talking.
lovely, lovely watching your film. And in the end, actually, one cries along with you. So in Indian music, they used to say, the gurus used to say, unless you can make the listener cry, it's not music.
Mm,
These are not
mm.
tears of joy or tears of happiness, but just tears.
Yeah, yeah.
So all the very best. I think you're a
Oh no, thank you very much for reaching out, and it was a real pleasure to talk to you today.
yeah. Thank you, Andrew.